I had planned to be asleep already because I'm in the hospital and my son is asleep, and I saw that as my opportunity to get some rest as well. But I had a cup of coffee, which I don't know what I was thinking, because now I'm wide awake. It's 11 o'clock at night, and so I'm going to use that, put that energy to good use instead of browsing through YouTube videos or watching the Food Network, which is causing me to put on the pounds. But when you're going through hard times, I think that you're going to do something. You're either going to shop or and buy too much, or you're going to eat too much, or do something, indulge too much in something. So I'd rather turn that energy into doing something positive. And so here I am. Hopefully, I can help someone. I'm learning this. I'm by no means an expert. I am working on getting my master's, and like 4 classes away from getting my master's in counseling, with human services counseling, with a specialization in marriage and family and children. But I'm still by no means an expert. I'm still learning, and I thank God for being my #1 teacher. I've been a single parent now for almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years in July, which is just like 2 months away. And it has not been easy by any stretch of the imagination. I did a video about this because of a play that I wrote regarding single fathers. And, I mean, not single fathers, but a single mother. And that's before I became a single mother. So, almost like a prophetic type of thing. I don't believe I jinx myself. I don't believe in jinxing and stuff like that. But it's just been a very hard walk. And under normal circumstances and the normal challenges, I'm sure it would be hard for any mother, any single parent. But I can always speak from the mother's perspective because I'm a single mom. And another challenge too with being single and being a Christian is to keep yourself unspotted from the things of the world. How do you keep yourself from sleeping with people and and doing things that would be displeasing to the Lord? It's not easy, doing any of the above, and I just want to talk about that. I haven't done a video like this before, I don't think. I know I did one about my testimony about surviving domestic violence, and that's why I'm a single mom. It was by choice, I would not have chosen that. If I had to choose a route, I would have liked for my family to have remained intact and to have my the kids, my ex-husband, be there to be the father of his kids and to be there to raise them. I'm the mom, and we're together, one big happy family. Kumbaya, we go about the rest of our lives, but that's not how it happened. And I made a decision to leave for my children. They were never injured, but I was the one, and it was so bad that I think I couldn't take a round 2 of that one. It was bad enough. You can feel free to watch my testimony here on YouTube on my channel. But I just felt that like Mother's Day is coming up and stuff, and I know that's the day that we give recognition, and if you're a mom, you get recognition. Hopefully for the job that you do on a daily basis, that is 24/7, not 9 to 5, but 24/7. And it's something that is more than an ocean. I just want you to know what I'm learning along the way, and I'm just sharing my pearls as I go along the way, my pearls of wisdom. But pearl of great price, I guess you can say. But I'm learning that God is my provider. He's my sustainer. He gives me the wisdom that I need. I cannot be a male role model to my son. I can't be the father to my son, but I can be a good mother to my son. And hopefully show him, or as from watching me, that hopefully he'll see what to look for in a godly woman. I'm trying to be a godly woman. It's not without its challenges, as I talked about. Like, how do you stay saved and keep yourself from, especially if you're used to being married and being intimate and so forth with your husband, and then you have to live the saved life and live the celibate life and remain celibate to God. It's not without its challenges. It's like you're like a magnet all of a sudden. The enemy knows that you're trying to live saved and you're trying to do the right thing, and then that's when the tempter comes. And I went through a situation a couple of years back, and it's like I had just gone through like a period of consecration, and that towards the end of it is when this major test came, and I said, man, because you have to be, your kids are looking up to you, and you want them to see, we're not perfect, but you want them to see a godly image. You don't want to see your kids to see 10 different men coming to your house, or, or you kissing on a man, or doing something, especially if you have daughters, you don't want them to see something inappropriate. I mean, you're painting a picture in their mind, and I don't know what type of picture you had painted in your mind as you were growing up. It may not have been a good image, but I'm fortunate to say that my mother was a godly woman, and so was my grandmother. They weren't promiscuous or loose, and I'm not judging anyone that has been, because we don't know what their circumstances are, and we're just to pray for them. But and consequently, I was raised to be a virtuous, woman, and I messed up along the way. I kept my virginity. I'm getting a little personal here, but maybe it'll help somebody. And gave it up to the one who I married, and it was not. I'm not saying I was Mother Teresa, because it was very hard to do, but it's doable. And young ladies, teenagers or young adults, if you're trying to stay saved and to think, can you still be a virgin in this world in this day and age? Yes, you can. I was 27 when I married my husband, and I have a sister that's still going on strong at 39. We're twins, so we're 39 years old. And my sister's still going on strong. So I praise God for that. It's been hard, but we're doing it. And that's the thing. It's been hard because I've not been able to work, especially since my son's been ill. We've been battling this illness for almost 2 months. July will be 2 months. That's the month that I left my ex when I was assaulted, and that's the month that my son was diagnosed. 3 years later, he was diagnosed with a cancer. So it's been hard financially, and honestly, I'll just be transparent, because like I said, hopefully it'll help somebody. I was not able to work. I used to be a teacher, lost my job a few years ago, so then I chose to be a stay-at-home mom, and because I knew I couldn't, the money that I would have made working, I couldn't have bought that time that I spent bonding with my kids and raising them and being there to see their first moments. And God bless you, my heart goes out to you if you have not been able to do that, or you're not going to be able to do that. And we struggled, because I didn't work. We did struggle. And when I left, I struggled even more. And I used to tell the Lord, how am I going to help another single mom if I'm struggling? I don't know how to, I don't know how to make ends meet. This is hard for me. Like, when my son was in the hospital, I said, how am I supposed to make it? I can't work. I have to be here, and I still have 2 other kids at home, a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 4-year-old. My son is 6, and my girls are 7 and 4. And at the time, they were, when I left my ex, my youngest was 7 months old, and my oldest was 3, and my son was 2. So it was hard. I had to rely on family. I had to swallow my pride. And I had to ask for help. And it's hard for me to ask for help because I don't want to be a burden on anybody. And maybe there was a pride factor there, but I wasn't like, hey, I could do this myself. I felt like a bum, To this day, sometimes I kind of feel that way because I don't want to burden anybody. I know people work hard for what they have, and I should be able to take care of myself. But mentally, it took time to get through the damage that was done by the abuse, emotional and then physical. And to get to a place where I felt normal enough where, okay, I can think I can hold down a job, I can work again. And that's what I was in the process of doing, trying to move out of state for various reasons, and to reestablish myself as a working woman and able to sustain my family. But that didn't happen. But the Lord said in His Word, I know the plans I have for you. So I'm kind of jumping around, but it's taking me back to the point that I was going to mention earlier, that with finances, I was getting assistance and then help from family, from times I borrowed from one of my uncles and one of my brothers. And I called it borrow, but I was never able to pay back, and I felt bad, but I needed the help. And when I would buy things, it was always for my kids. I had bought myself a pair of shoes in like 2 years, 3 years, so I'd buy myself a pair of shoes, and I felt guilty for doing that. But I always made sure that they had what they needed first. And then just recently I started buying myself little things to reward myself for the job that I'm trying to do. It's not a perfect job as a mom, but I'm trying. I go home a couple nights a week to spend time with my daughters, and I'm back here at the hospital with my son because there's no one here with him. So it's been a back and forth for the last several months, and that's why I'm just physically exhausted and mentally exhausted. But I didn't have enough when I would be borrowing, and just the money that I would get from the assistance, it just wasn't enough. And so rather than relying on the Lord, I would always have in my mind, well, I can always go do a payday loan. That could be my backup. But we robbed Peter to pay Paul, so I was always running short because I always had to pay back the payday loan. You pay back what you borrowed and then interest. And so I ended up taking out 2 payday loans, and then I got stuck in that cycle for months. And I was like, man, how do I get out of this? And it was just a few months ago, I think it was December of last year. We're in 2013 now, depending on when you watch this. But in 2012, December 2012, I got the thought, and I know it came from the Lord. Will you allow me to take care of you financially, take care of your needs? And my answer was yes. And I paid off one of the payday loans. And I said, okay, next month I'm going to pay off the other payday loan. And it was hard because I had bills due, car note, other bills, and the kids' Christmas time. And I said, well, Lord, I trust you. And I was so tempted. I was even in the payday loan place. And the only thing that stopped me from getting the payday loan, that's when I first got the thought, will you allow me to take care of you? I didn't have a check, because you have to write out a check and do the payday loan. And I said I was going to run to the bank, which was down the street, and get the check and then go home. But I was so tired. We had just left the hospital with one of my son's treatments. And so I said, I'll just go home. And that's when I got the thought, will you allow me to take care of you? So it was so hard, and I was so tempted to run down to the payday loan place because it's so easy. Faith can be a lot harder than what it sounds like, but I put my faith in the Lord, and sure enough, within a week's time, we were blessed by one organization which I least expected. A city government organization blessed us with 3 checks for totaling $600. They were $200 each. The payday loan amount that I was taking out was like $250, and here the Lord blessed me with $600. And then that was December 20th. And then 5 days later on Christmas Day, like all throughout that whole month, like throughout that month, people were dropping off gifts, dropping off gift cards, dropping off gifts. My church sent me a check. A church that I was attending sent me a check for $300. So like the next day after I got or 2 days after the $600 was given to us. So $900, because I said, yes, Lord, I trust you. And all these gifts, if I could show you guys a picture, and I might see if I can post the picture here on YouTube. Our house, literally, because I stay, with relatives, but our house, our living room looked like a toy store. I've never seen so many toys. We were abundantly blessed. Talk about blessed you with room that you won't have enough room to receive it. That's how it was this past Christmas for my kids. And my kids got to see the hand of God. And I tell them all the time, God will provide. And I'm teaching them how to be givers. And in giving, I would always tell them the Lord's going to bless return what we've done. We're not doing it to get anything from God, but God loves the cheerful giver. The Lord loves the cheerful giver. So the next month, I sure enough paid off the payday loan. And so I was running low again because I had to catch up. I had to use the money to catch up. And so I was running low again. And I paid off the second payday loan, and I did not take another one out. And that same thought, will you trust me? I said, yes, Lord. Same thing. There was a family that was one of the families that was helping us, like to help watch my girls. They had friends that volunteered to help me pay my bills. And so for that month, I thought they were going to help with 1 or 2 bills. They said, what else? I would tell them, what else? And I said, well, no, I'll take care of this one because I don't want to do. But they ended up paying for my bills and got me caught up. And then different ones were blessing me and putting money in my pocket. So I think I had about another $900. And so I was caught up for the first time in a long time. I was caught up and had extra money because I said, yes, Lord, I'll trust you. And then the next month, one of the social workers at the hospital here helped me to fill out a form for a grant, and we got approved for the grant, and it was for $1,500. And I'm like, all you, Lord, it's all you. And that question came to me again. Lord, how am I going to tell another single mom that she can make it? How do I tell them how to trust you when I couldn't trust? But after 3 different times, I could see. And there were other incidents along the way, like for the last couple of years, but nothing ever like this. This was a new season that I stepped into. And so, it's running a little bit, and even now, but God, because it's all like, other things that we needed, and just trying to pay ahead, and just get caught up and stuff. But you know what? My story is a walk in progress. We're all of our stories. We're epistles read and known of all men, and God is doing this, and He does it for His glory. There was a pastor that said, Bishop Noel Jones preached a message one time about God creates a situation for revelation. He'll create a situation to reveal who He is. If you need finances, you might find yourself in a bind, but if you look to Him, the author and finisher of your faith, you'll find that He will provide for you if you truly trust Him. I was reading in my son's children's Bible. We have our devotions every day, and it said that faith is believing before you can even see it. It's just the belief that something is. Even though you can't even see it, you don't have to see it to have proof. Faith isn't proof, faith is belief. And that's where the Lord is teaching me throughout all of this, even healing my son and providing for us like He is. And I feel like the best is yet to come. I think he's a subscriber, I don't know, but the Lord's been using him and another one to just really encourage me about how the Lord is getting ready to bless several of you. I've been feeling this for the longest time, and I don't know if I shared that with the ones that have been encouraging, but I've been feeling for the longest time the Lord showed me this glorious future and how He's going to bless, and I don't know which way it's going to happen, but He knows. And I just want to share these scriptures with you before I bring this to a close. But single mothers, 2 Kings chapter 4, verses 1 through 38, and I'm just going to read that to you. It says, Elisha and the widow's oil. It's about the wife who was a widow. Her husband that passed was a prophet, and she told the prophet Elisha that her husband was dead, and that she said, the creditor is coming. She said, you know that your servant feared the Lord, and the creditor is coming to take my 2 sons to be his slaves. So Elisha asked her, what shall I do for you? And I don't know if you know the story, but he said, tell me, what do you have in your house? And single mother, I ask you, what do you have in your house? And she told the prophet, your servant has nothing in the house but a jar of oil. If it's that one thing, what is it that you have in your house? And she just had that jar of oil. You could have a mustard seed amount of faith. That could be your jar of oil. And that's all, nothing but that. Lord, I have nothing but my faith to hold on to. I literally own nothing, Even the car that I drive is not even my name, but I make the payments on it. I own nothing but clothes and things that the Lord's given me, but I have that faith. I'm learning to develop faith. I haven't always had faith, but He's teaching me that. And He said, go borrow vessels from everywhere, from all your neighbors, empty vessels, not just a few. What is your faith level? Are you going to get just a few, or are you going to borrow more than what you can believe for, or more than what you can see? And so He said, we've come in, shut the door behind you and your sons, poured into all the vessels and set aside the full ones. So she went in from him, shut the door behind she and her sons, who brought the vessels to her. She poured it out, and it came to pass when the vessels were full that she said to her son, bring me another vessel. And he said to her, there are no more. So the oil ceased. Then she came and told the man of God, and he said, go, sell the oil and pay your debt, and you and your sons live on the rest. Will God take care of the single mother? This was a widow. It wasn't by choice that she was a single mom. Her husband died. God took care of her. 2 Kings, that was 2 Kings 4, 1 through 38. You can read the rest of it in your own time. 38, I mentioned 38, but that's talking about the other woman who had a son who passed, and the Lord brought him back. Even that was a miracle. The Lord prophesied to her a son when she was barren, and the Lord opened up her womb and gave her a son. This next scripture I want to read to you is in Genesis 21, and it's about Hagar, I'm not sure the correct pronunciation, but that was Abraham's for Sarah's handmaiden, or her servant, one of the servant girls. And Abraham kind of went ahead of the promise that God gave him that he would have a child with Sarah, his wife, and he had this child with Hagar. And Hagar, there was a time where she was sent out from Abraham, and he sent her with bread and water and sent them on their way. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. This is in the book of Genesis chapter 21, verse 14. It says, she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba, and the water in the skin was used up, and she placed the boy, her son, under one of the shrubs. Then she went and sat down across from him at a distance of about a bowshot, for she said to herself, let me not see the death of the boy. So she sat opposite him and lifted her voice and wept. She didn't want to see her child die because she didn't have the sustenance, the wherewithal to provide for her son. His earthly father wasn't there. He had given what he could, but could only go so far. And so now here she has to figure, I'm in a wilderness. Where am I going to get food? Where am I going to get water? I'm in a dry, barren place. But she lifted her voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the lad. God heard the voice of her son. And I don't know what he was saying, but he was calling out to God. And maybe it's what he saw growing up, I don't know. But he knew the Lord for himself too. And so the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven and said to her, what ails you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad and hold him with your hand, for I will make him a great nation. That took faith to believe that my son's going to be a great nation. He's not going to die in front of me here in this wilderness, in this barren place. I'm not going to sit here and witness his death. But God has a plan. I know the plan I have for you. I'll make him a great nation. That means he's going to provide. In verse 19 it says, then God opened her eyes and she saw a well of water. And she went and filled the skin with water and gave the lad a drink. God opened her eyes and led her to provision. So God was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. He dwelt in the wilderness of Barren, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. Single mother, God sees you. And the last verse, Isaiah 54, verse 4. Do not fear, for you will not be ashamed. Neither be disgraced, for you will not be put to shame. For you will forget the shame of your youth, and will not remember the reproach of your widowhood any more. For your Maker is your husband. The Lord of hosts is his name, and your Redeemer is the Holy One of Israel. He is called the God of the whole earth. For the Lord has called you like a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, like a youthful wife when you were refused, says your God. For a moment I have forsaken you, but with great mercies I will gather you. With a little wrath I hid my face from you for a moment, but with everlasting kindness I will have mercy on you, says the Lord your Redeemer. He says, you are a wife forsaken in your youth. You are refused, you are grieved in spirit. Does that show the heart of our God, our Father who sees our hearts and knows that when we're grieving in spirit? It's grieving in spirit, it's an internal thing that no one else on the outside can see unless you show it, unless it manifests itself on the outside. But God, our Heavenly Father, sees it and he knows. And he says that your Maker is your husband. He's your husband, he's the father to your children, and he's everything that you need. He's the all-sufficient one. This is in the breasted one. And you think about the breasted one like a mother who nurses her child and gives her child the sustenance that they need to grow and thrive and be all that they need to be, the best nutrition around. And God is the one who will give your children what they need if you put them in his hands. And that's what I'm learning. Lord, it's a scary thing to know that I have to be the head of my house and I have to raise my kids. And I don't know if I'm doing it right, or trying to live godly, and I have all these tests and temptations coming at me from this side and that side, and I don't want that. I only want you, Lord. I want what you have for me, but I want to live for you. I want to be the example for you. I want to live holy and righteous and saved, and I don't want anything to sway me from that course. And maybe the prayer should be, Lord, remove anything that will take me off course from you. But whatever will bring you glory to your name, and that's how I want to live. And I want to encourage my sisters to want to live the same way. If you don't, you think about it, and you think about living in a way that would please the Lord. I didn't know I was at 24 minutes because I was on a different screen, but hopefully you're sticking with me through to the end of this, and I may even make this a two-parter so that way it won't be so long for you guys. But God bless you, and I hope I've said something that will encourage you and inspire you to hold on and keep on going and see what the end will be, because God will take care of you. God will take care of you. There's a song, his name is David Phelps, I believe. And the song is God Will Take Care of You. Check it out when you have some time. It's a beautiful song that has encouraged me to the core. I believe that's the name. Noah Phelps is his last name. But anyway, God bless you guys. And maybe you could post your story below, or do a video response or something to encourage another sister, because we're supposed to encourage each other in the Lord and in His Word. And I hope that I've said or done something to do just that. Take care, and for single fathers, you can make it too. God will provide for you just as much, and be the mother who'll provide what your children need in season. All right, God bless you guys, and until next time, peace be with you.